All right. So I have identified the dream outcome for my niche. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fizzy, where we talk about and log my journey as I try to figure out a way to make real money. It's your host, Fizzy, aka Fizzyhead, aka Amin. Let's jump right into it. The first segment of the show is what I did to make money. Now, what I did was after I figured out my to make money, after I figured out what my niche is going to be, I then had to figure out what dream outcome that niche would have. So, as I mentioned in the last video, the niche that I decided on was basically young men who either graduated from mechanical engineering or aerospace, or it's their first few jobs in their lifetime. So that's my niche. The next step that I learned, according to Alex Ramosi's book, $100 million offer, the next step is that for me to identify the dream outcomes for this niche. And I had quite a lot of dream outcomes over here. So I'll just go through, like, I have like, fuck it, I don't even know what, like 30, 40, 30, 31 dream outcomes. I'll see as how many I can talk about. And let's see. So, with no importance over here, um, you know, the, let's just talk about the first one, the experience that they will have. So basically, with the dream outcome, the idea is to answer questions like, what do they do? What do they really want? Sorry, what does your niche really want? And what is the destination that the prospect is to arrive at? And what would the prospect like to experience at the dream outcome? And I broke it down into effectively two outcomes, which is like one of them is the emotional one, the other one is the logical one. The emotional one, we could call it, something like what they would feel at that dream outcome, and the logical one would be what logically would happen. So I'll go through all the examples in a bit. Let me just get through this one right here. So what I did effectively was I thought about it, I listed down all the dream outcomes that my prospect and my niche would experience, and basically I would answer the questions I just said, and the result of that was I came up with a list of things that I want my prospects and my niche to feel and succeed in. That is the whole point of this dream outcome thing, to identify what success looks like for my prospects. So now I'll just go through this list real quick for dream outcomes. So as I said, it's basically answering those three questions in detail, as much detail as possible. So I'll just go through the first one, which is what the prospect will experience, and this is the emotional side. So the emotional success that they would feel, and this, there's just like a few. The major experience that I want, I think, my niche would experience is empowerment. And that empowerment is really a mixture of them feeling vitality, invigoration, them feeling like they have a vision, feeling like having feelings of liberation, sovereign serenity, and relief. And all these feelings summed up to be in like empowerment. That's like how I summed it up in my mind, that's empowerment to me, all these feelings. And where that came from really was that's how I felt when I figured out how to manage my time. So that's where I created that from, that experience from. The other thing is, the other part. Now the other thing is the logical side of things. I'll talk about the logical side of things in a bit. Let me just drill down a little bit more into the feelings. So this feelings part was actually pretty good because I thought that it was something that could allow me to provide psychological solutions to my niche and my prospect. So what I ended up doing was I identified and wrote down this feeling, this success, this dream outcome that was based on how my prospects would feel, and as a result of that, I was, I painted a picture. I had a picture painted of my niche feeling a certain way when they would achieve success. Now let's talk about the logical side of the dream outcome. And honestly, dream outcome, I think it's more like what does success look like? That's more I think that's what I'm gonna rename it as. I know Alex Ramuzi calls it dream outcome. I will just call it success because it just resonates more with me, and I like it. Just resonates more with me. So it's like, let's just call it what success looks like. All right. Now, what does success look like? So basically, what does the logical output look like for my niche as they as they achieve what they really want and all that stuff. So I have like 30 logical success outcomes, and I'll just run through it real quick here. So the first one, the week would be planned out in a calendar. The week for my niche would be blocked out. My niche would save time. My niche would be able to say no to people. My niche would have the future at the tip of their fingers because they would have planned their time and managed their time. My niche would be able to access the future at any time. My niche would not be yelled at by their boss or coworkers because they would be so on top of their time and eventually tasks. My niche would not be running late. That's a big one. That I figured that out with time management. My niche would not be stressed before performing a task. My niche would not be stressed while performing a task. My niche would be able to reliably do something in any given period of time. My niche would never be late. I said that already, but that's okay. My niche would be able to predict the week. My niche would be able to predict the chaos. My niche would be able to manage the chaos. My niche would be able to make decisions faster as the week goes by. My niche would be able to set it and forget it. Then they wouldn't have to worry about what is there to do when everything is set because of the time blocking. My niche would not would be able to identify all the time waster triggers that they have. My niche would be able to set reminders automatically. My niche would be able to easily see things due to blocks that they have made. My niche would be able to identify nuisance and unknown items that require time that they can then plan for. My niche would be able to honestly do a reality check. My niche would be able to manipulate and change reality. This really means like how they perceive reality. And my niche would be able to remove that desperate feeling that you get when you're always running behind and when you don't know what's going on. My niche would be able to remove that overwhelming feeling, again based on the previous point. My niche would be able to remove that anxious feeling, again from the previous point. My niche would be able to identify time wasting triggers, again that's like I think I said that before. And my niche would be able to delete or remove those time wasting triggers, again, so that's like from the uh, from the previous I think I mentioned before. So those are the logical points. So those are the logical points. And what I did was I basically sat down and really had to think and be the person that my niche is, and just imagine how they would feel and what success looks like for them. And also for me, this all also comes because I have experienced it. So this is where it came from. And the result of that is this whole list that I have created, which defines all what the success looks like for my niche and my prospect. So that was, that's what I did to make money. Again, this is like me following the Alex Ramozi's book. I did this over the week, and that's okay. I just wanted to report it now. Now the next step, or the next section of the next segment of the show is what I plan to do to make money. Now over here, what I plan to do to make money is really it follows up from our previous videos where I have identified the niche, I have identified the dream outcome or the success outcomes, and then I have, which I'll talk about in the future videos, I have identified the problems that my niche would have and the solutions that the niche would have. So the next step is for me to identify how I'm going to provide those solutions. And that basically, as I brainstorm on how I can provide those solutions, I would think that my offer, you know, would just become better. So the next step is really what I plan to do to make money is to continue on with creating the offer. Now, let's move on to the next segment of the show, which is next video improvement. Now, before we go into next video improvement, let's talk about the previous video improvement, which is the 2 minute timer. And so yeah, the previous video improvement is really the 2 minute timer that we have set for every single thought that we want to portray and communicate. And that's what we've been doing, and it's been great. It's been great because in an effort for us to be more concise and more effective with our communication, we thought, the problem that we were having was that we would ramble on forever, and then we would just go into like another dimension of conversation, and then another dimension of talk points, and another dimension of whatever the fuck that would come to our mind. And the issue, so that problem, what that problem was resulting in was that that problem had no flow to the conversation. And honestly, to myself, to you, Fizzy, and to anybody else who I would be speaking with, there would be no flow, and it would just be a nightmare where I would just start saying one thing, and then over a short period of time, I would find myself talking about something else. So that meant like, oh shit, now I have to revert back to what I was saying earlier, and then now I have to do the analysis again, which just turned out to be a whole fucking nightmare of conversation and a whole nightmare of just sticking to a point. And by sticking, I don't mean to be a stick, rigidly stick to a point. I just mean in the sense that, just let my brain go wherever the fuck it wants and just prod it a little bit into the point that I'm trying to make. So what I did was in order to achieve that goal, I set a timer of 2 minutes for every single point that try to make. And a result of that, the big result of that is I am now able to keep my points and talk points concise and just deliver more information in a shorter amount of time. So that's what I did. And that was the improvement for the next video, the previous video. Now the next video improvement that I want to do is I want to watch my previous videos and find issues in how I deliver content and talk points and how I communicate really. And I want to find those issues. So then I can then find, so I want to find those issues because the best way to learn from about yourself is to observe yourself. And when you observe yourself, you can measure and find out where you slipped up, what mistakes you made, and what kind of problems that you didn't realize that you had when you were performing, but you realize you have problems when you observe yourself from a third party point of view. I just decided, so that observation, yeah, you get that feedback. Also, I wanted to see that how do I perform? What is my content? And is my content actually good enough for me to watch? And then if it's not good enough, why is it not good enough? And then for me to identify what can I improve and give myself feedback on the items that I can improve and the items that I, don't really need to improve that much. So, in order for me to do that, what I did was I decided that I'm going to start watching my previous videos and see how I deliver content and how I talk. And the result of that would be I should come up with a few items that I would find out that I need to improve, and then just improve those items in the next few videos. So, just to sum it up, the next video improvement is to just watch my previous videos and give myself feedback and improve from there. Now, the next segment of the show is one good thing about myself. Well, the good thing about myself is that we feel like shit, and yet we are never afraid to express how we feel, ever. So that openness to how we feel and owning up to who we are and how we feel, and never lying to ourselves on how we feel about things, that openness is one good thing about myself. The next segment of the show is who is Fizzy? Well, Fizzy is unpredictable. The next segment of the show is software. The software we're going to talk about is Spotify. The next segment of the show is questions and answers. There are no questions, so there are no answers. And the next segment of the show is remarks. Honestly, I don't have any remarks. I'm hoping the only thing that I can think of is, well, I guess I do have a remark. Fuck it. Let's go. Since we've been putting in a lot of effort now, especially now in the way we talk and in our the way we talk and in our communication, and regardless of what we communicate about, it is how we communicate about it. And we have also been identifying all the things that we can improve on. This all goes back to our whole point of not having any big goals or grand expectations from us in this regard, only in this regard, and just looking to fail at every point, and just looking to and just improving one thing at a time. Along with that, the fact that we simply have run out of any physical improvements we can do right now, and so the only thing that we can improve on is what we can say and what we can talk, and effectively that that is just so much more important than any of the visual things, because the visual things are good to get you started up as a spark, but what will keep you going and what matters even more is what you say and the content that you deliver and the points that you deliver. And those points are what matter, and that is what you, Fizzy of the future, also care about when you look at our videos in the past. So what I'm hoping for is really to see some improvements. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope I have been making improvements. And honestly, that doesn't really amount to much. Hope doesn't mean shit. I mean, hope is like whatever. So it doesn't matter. Really, there's no result out of that hope. It's just a hope. So yeah, I guess that's it. That's the only remark that I have. And with that being said, thank you for watching. Fizzy of the future, keep at it. You're definitely, I think, communicating better in this episode versus the previous ones. And just keep going. With repetition, you'll become even better. And remember, this is live. All of this is live. So that's even better, because this is where you fail the most and you improve. You have the most opportunity to improve, and this is where you improve the most. So take care, and may all your dreams come true. And to anybody else who's watching, may all your dreams come true. Take care of yourself, take care of your family. Fizzyhead out.